Hey, how's it going? um, I guess I have a message. When you watch those, if you do, spiritual videos, often they will talk about masters, spiritual masters, and they will be sort of in that group of uh, wrong words are coming to mind, like celebrity, but they're not celebrities. But if you are into that spiritual world, then you will be aware that there are like reincarnated souls, or well, that I think is mainly what they're comprised of, or also maybe reincarnated ETs or extra dimensionals, but something they also say is that there are many of them here on the earth, and they also say that we watching those videos are also masters, just by, like everyone here by that standard would be, which I didn't give, so let me do that. They often say that you're a master, you're here because you chose to be, and like apparently everyone else made that same choice because there's everyone else, right? But not everyone is a master, otherwise there wouldn't be the delineation. But anyway, they say that they're here walking the earth among us. So who would that be? Well, I would think, according to everything else that I've learned from watching those things and just sort of also intuited, they're not all going to be like a golden soul out of that. They're not going to all be like a perceived golden soul, like Martin Luther King, for example. Whatever, human frailties and foibles he may have had that J. Edgar Hoover would have seized on to try to ruin him, in people's estimation, he was still a man. Like, it could have been true, I'm not saying that it was. I have no idea. Was I even alive when he was alive? I might have been, but I was very young. But I've had years of education about him and his life and biographies and film biographies and all of that kind of thing. So I do have like a framework for thinking about him. Same would go for a Gandhi or a Mother Teresa or anyone that would be in that constellation. That is what I was going for, not celebrity. In that constellation of spiritual masters. And they had all of them, I'm sure. Like, there's stuff that's rumored and stuff you can read about, like Nelson Mandela. All like we all have a dark side. We all like have failings. We all have things within that we're not sharing with everybody else, and whatever it is. And some of us just wear it on the outside, like all of our anti-heroes, or like a Hitler would be an anti-hero for me. The communist leaders that slaughtered so many of their own people, that started out with all these high-minded principles, and they just turned into the same old thing where it's just a few people at the top and everybody else is some kind of slaughter fodder. I don't know why I'm laughing at that, but maybe a little bit nervous touching on this subject. Could be. Anyway, but they're not going to all be like notable or known. But there, okay, so yes, there are. But I was thinking of the anti-heroes, the ones that absolutely are other people's hero, that they are into what they are saying and they back them up 100%. Like, that's their deal. It just doesn't happen to be mine. But the thing is someone like MTG that's attracting a lot of attention from both camps of into her and not into her. She had a recent incident in a restaurant where someone came up and was rudely and loudly voicing their dissatisfaction with her existence in the restaurant. And I assume other things because I understand the something you said going completely wrong, you know? And sometimes, and I can also take this from personal experience, you don't immediately or ever or until way later realize that you've said something that's gone utterly wrong because it didn't necessarily go utterly wrong with you. It's like a sort of a careless thing to blurt things out, although sometimes when you are a blurter, it's like the truth is just sitting right there on your tongue and you can't, like, you see no reason not to say it until you've said it and you're like, oh man. But sometimes the blurt is like spot on. Sidetrack. Let me just reel it back over where I was talking about originally. So you have like a situation with like MTG, and there were two camps of people talking about it. You know, one was like, well, three, I guess, because one was like, well, she hollered in the State of the Union address and everybody else, and that was rude, and it was unprofessional, yes, and I didn't not expect it to happen at all. Like once Joseph Alito set that very low bar, and then what was the other one? Some guy that's not even anything anymore, except notable for that, for, you know, hollering out while somebody's making it's an important speech. I mean, if you care about those things and it's your job and it might be like your guy up there next year, like, why are you hollering at people? I don't know. Anyway, so but there's always someone that's like, okay, the camps. So like, yeah, rude for hollering during the speech and people like it, or just rude and people just like that for that. And then there's people that are like, no, don't, you know, be unprofessional and rude, and this is an opportunity for you and you deserve it. Don't be unprofessional and rude and you deserve it. And then I think the last one was, well, here's a chance for her to learn from what happened, which I think that's 100%. We should all be doing that at all times. You know, just, you know, kind of check yourself. But it's hard. It's hard to look at ourselves and know. It's like the unconscious blurting, but way worse in some cases. And so she, I'm sure, feels and felt just absolutely publicly crucified. But the thing is maybe that's part of her life plan, her, you know, her choices for what was going to take place in her life while she's here. All of everything about her personality traits, background, all of the combination of aspects that make her her, that make her herself, and has her out here, you know, on the one hand, a politician, and I'm making faces because I feel like the reasons that she's there and what she's been doing while she's there have been not very traditional politician like, but maybe that's part of it too. I mean, maybe it's not always a thing where it's like everybody's sitting around kind of kumbaya and learning a parable and puzzling through the meanings of it peacefully, and, you know, maybe it's not always that fluffy. Sometimes maybe part of being a master is taking on that sort of unpleasant role And there's a lot of people that are that way, like Elon Musk. I mean, I think he was born into pretty favorable circumstances, but regardless of how he got there and what he did or actually did in regard to his products, he's where he is, and that takes some doing. And to just touch upon a touchy subject for some right now, there's a bit of a Nepo baby element, I think it can be said, that sort of propelled him to the sort of heights that he's been able to reach. Which is not to say it can't be done by other people, but I mean, it's a lot easier the Musk way. the having some pre-padded runway all set up for you in case you fail when you try to take off the first few times, or however many it takes, because parents, right? They're gonna look after you till whenever, is what I'm saying. Nothing wrong with parents. Parents are great. So, well, I mean, sometimes they're not, but they're parents. Moving on. So, but I mean, both of them can't help, it seems like, be so public that they attract a lot of favorable and unfavorable attention. And it all, you know, we all, if we see it, pay attention to it in any way, it's going to affect us to some degree. I mean, we're at least going to think about it on some level. And that could just be all it takes to make huge changes in a different person. What changes? It's so complicated. I'm not even going to try. So many people. But I just thought it was kind of heartening to think about that. Like, we're all here on this earth school in the spiritual community. We believe this. And everything that happens is an opportunity to learn. Everything we do, everything everyone else does, everything that every act connects to, and everything that affects other people that we don't. It reminds me of I think it was a Clairol shampoo commercial in the 70s, and it was all, oh, I tried it and I really liked it, and I told a friend, and then she told a friend, and it turned into this like exponential Hollywood Squares Brady Bunch face in a box situation that just kept, it was just all, and so on and so on and so on into infinity. So I feel like it's kind of like that, like the blurter thing. Like, I never know what I'm gonna accidentally say. I don't even know it's an accident until after I've said it. You know, I mean, that's what a blurt is. Don't get lost in it, though. Okay, I'm just gonna stop before I get more tangled up in my whatever I'm trying to say. But yeah, that's the message, I guess. Maybe we can look at people a little bit differently and realize that we're all like on. If you're familiar with Joseph Campbell at all, or if you're not, I'm going to reference something he calls the hero's journey. And it's a life cycle, basically, and it's a series of stages, and at every stage you're learning something. And so we're all part of each other's hero's journey, and some of us are masters. And, you know, like I said, if we're here, basically we all are. We all chose to be here in the before life. And that's what I gotta say about that. So thank you and good night.